On behalf of Aberdeenshire Council, I'd like to welcome you all and thank you for joining us today to celebrate Armed Forces Day. Over the years, we've marked the event in many ways, with local celebrations across our communities, as well as our traditional ceremony where we are joined by representatives from all branches of the armed forces. All of us together and in honour of our servicemen and women of past, present and future. Regrettably, we know we are not yet able to come together safely, but as a special day in our civic diary, we wanted to mark Armed Forces Day online to be able to share it with you all. Since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic in March last year, many phrases have become part of our everyday vocabulary. In fact, last year, for the first time ever, the Oxford Dictionary didn't just choose one word of the year, it chose 47. We are now midway through 2021, and my hope for this year is that we focus on the word resilience, an opportunity for us not just to have the capacity to bounce back, but to do so better. The armed forces are the epitome of resilience, whether they are dealing with conflict, disasters, or protecting the nation, always ready to respond, to deploy, and to adapt to a myriad of situations. Resilience is a key theme discussed by the other speakers who are joining me today as part of our presentation. I'm pleased to be joined by Mr. Sandy Manson, Her Majesty's Lord Lieutenant of Aberdeenshire, who is reflecting on the role of the armed forces at home and overseas. And we will also hear from Captain Chris Smith, Naval Regional Commander for Scotland and Northern Ireland, who will be sharing details of the incredible work that the armed forces have been undertaking during the COVID pandemic. Finally, we will join communities across the country in marking this year's Armed Forces Day by raising our commemorative flag. I'll be back to share some thoughts at the end of your presentation today, but for now, I'm pleased to hand over to the Lord Lieutenant.
As the Lord Lieutenant of Aberdeenshire, it is my privilege to convey in this county Her Majesty the Queen's constant support and appreciation of all those who serve and have served in the armed forces. There have been many such thousands of men and women from all walks of life and from right across Aberdeenshire's towns, villages, rural and coastal communities who have served our country with honour, dedication, loyalty and pride. In turn, we are hugely proud of what the members of our armed forces continue to achieve, whether it be on operations in support of our own national security or with our allies in fields of conflict and areas of urgent need of humanitarian relief around the world. It's been an extraordinary 12 months since the last Armed Forces Day, when we all found ourselves in the grip of this dreadful pandemic, and our resilience has been tested to the core. Thankfully, due to the quite remarkable efforts of so many, we now find that our liberties are being restored and critically that once again we can feel more assured about the safety of our loved ones. This most challenging chapter in our lives has required us all to dig deep, find strength, adapt and recover in different ways, and it has also been so heartening to see how people and our communities have selflessly pulled together in support of those most in need. Today we focus our minds on the incredible work of our armed forces, and their contribution in the last year in particular is a timely reminder of not only how vital an element they are of our country's resilience, but it also serves to remind us of their unwavering readiness to stand up, to adapt their training, and apply themselves tirelessly to meeting head-on whatever threat faces us, both at home and abroad. In the last year, our armed forces personnel have been mobilised across the country, with reservists and regulars turning up to help and assist their local communities in whatever way they can. from helping with the vaccine rollout across the northeast of Scotland to creating and manning testing centres like Peterhead, as well as playing a critical role in so many aspects of planning and logistics to help keep us all safe. Our young people in cadet forces across Aberdeenshire have also played their important part in this national effort by helping with activities such as door-to-door deliveries for those who are shielding. Her Majesty and her family have a very special link with Aberdeenshire, and we know what a personal and close interest the Queen has taken in so many different and prominent aspects of community life here. That deep and genuine interest spans all geographies when it comes to Her Majesty's close connection and support for our armed forces. The remarkable commitment and service given by His Royal Highness, the late Duke of Edinburgh, just epitomises the strength of that enduring connection. As Her Majesty's personal representative in Aberdeenshire, I offer my own particular thanks and gratitude to all members of the armed forces, whether they be regulars, reserves or cadets, both past and present, for their steadfast commitment and contribution, which we acknowledge and give gratitude for on this Armed Forces Day. Thank you for all you do.
Hello, my name's Captain Chris Smith, and as the Naval Regional Commander for Scotland and Northern Ireland and representing all three services today, it's an honour to speak with you at the invitation of Aberdeenshire Council and mark your 2021 Fly a Flag programme. Armed Forces Day has always been a special point of the calendar for our armed forces. Conceived at the height of operations in Afghanistan, it continues to provide us with the opportunity to come together and celebrate the work of service personnel, past and present, and also to recognise the unerring support of our cadet forces and service families. I thank all our armed forces personnel for their energy, professionalism and commitment to their duty over a particularly trying year. Whilst military operations continue undeterred both in the UK and abroad, most notably with the deployment of HMS Queen Elizabeth and her carrier strike group to the Indo-Pacific in May, we cannot overlook the impact that coronavirus has had on our day-to-day business. Called forward to support councils, the NHS and communities through military aid to the civil authorities, requests commonly referred to as MACAs, our armed forces readily and resolutely responded, and I've been asked to focus on this in my words today. Marked as the UK's biggest ever homeland military operation in peacetime, the support provided through Operation Rescript has seen just under 500 personnel mobilised as part of the Scottish COVID support force alone. So what has been the Armed Forces' role in UK resilience? Well, we have actively assisted the UK and Scottish Government's integrated approach to crisis and emergency response, whilst working alongside a number of key partners such as the NHS, the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency and Scottish Environmental Protection Agency. Looking at my headquarters alone, around 40% of our military staff were deployed for anywhere up to 6 months, with regional coordination being successfully achieved through the local and regional resilience partnerships. And what does this really mean? At the outset, we supported local councils and the NHS to plan their COVID responses using real-world risk management and worst-case scenario analysis. This included the deployment of military planners at both local and national levels of government, as well as the provision of logistical support, aircraft medical evacuation capabilities and geomapping services. We helped build and staff the testing and vaccination centres, assist with the vaccine rollout and wider support to the NHS, with the event Complex Aberdeen delivering up to 1,000 jabs per day alone. COVID has demonstrated that more than ever, the response must be agile and adaptive. And we continue to remain ready to provide emergency response support wherever it is needed. So what does the future hold? The Armed Forces will continue to build upon the lessons of COVID-19 and develop their capabilities, their people and their equipment for such tasking in the future. We have recognised the need to test and adapt our skills in contingency planning, and we strive to expand existing relationships with government, industry, the emergency services and other local responders alike. The recently announced UK Government's integrated review trailed greater use being made of military reserves in supporting domestic national security priorities, with consideration of how this could be extended to a civilian reservist cadre for support in times of crisis. In short, we'll continue to build resilience at home and overseas, as well as improve our ability to anticipate, prevent, prepare for and respond to risks. An important skill set which is not only pertinent to today's pandemic, but crucial for future-proofing anything from extreme weather incidents to cyber attacks. The last year has not only demonstrated the breadth and variety of services that our armed forces can provide, but has highlighted the upbeat and proactive nature of our personnel. However you choose to participate, supporting online, raising a flag, or following one of our assets, and HMS Diamond is your affiliated ship, I encourage you to join in with the celebrations and give thanks for the work that our armed forces have done. Thank you.
Once again, I would like to thank you all for joining us today in honour of our armed forces. Thank you very much to Mr. Manson and to Captain Smith. My thanks to Cadet Warrant Officer Lauren McIntosh for her support with the flag raising, and to Colour Sergeant Michael Laing for providing us with the music for today's event. I very much hope that this time next year we will be able to meet in person to celebrate. But in the meantime, let us keep resilience in mind, keep working together, and keep one another safe. Thank you very much.